Welcome to the Better Business, Better Life podcast. Terry DuPont is the founder of DuPont Advisory Group, a group dedicated to providing comprehensive services to successful business owners, medical, and other professionals. Terry has top-of-the-table status in the prestigious International $1 Million Roundtable, placing him among the top 0.1% of all professional financial advisors in the world. Terry's philosophy is, I've learned that I grow and prosper more by focusing on the success of others, rather than fretting over my own. Terry is a certified financial professional with the Institute of Financial Wellness, an advisor for the Power of Zero Taxes in Retirement, chartered retirement plans specialist, certified wealth preservation planner, and certified philanthropic developer. On the podcast, Terry brings together experts in their field who have succeeded in building their business to share their secrets with you. And now, here's your host, Terry DuPont.
Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of Better Business, Better Life, Building on Your Success. And I'm Terry DuPont, your host. This week, ladies and gentlemen, we have Todd Villarrubia. And Todd is an accomplished and experienced board-certified expert in estate planning and administration, as certified by the Louisiana Board of Legal and I guess it's the Legal Board and Legal Specialization. I'm going to start over, okay? Cut that team.
And look, you can say I'm a tax attorney and board-certified expert in estate planning, and I think that's fine.
Okay. Now I've got it written over here. Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of Better Business, Better Life, Building on Your Success. I'm your host, Terry DuPont. And this week, we have Todd Villarrubia, I should say. Todd is an accomplished and experienced board-certified expert in estate planning and administration, as certified by the Louisiana Board of Legal Specialization. He's also a tax attorney. He has a long record of success in a vast array of disciplines within the law industry that includes high net worth estate planning, business, corporate, and tax planning, wills and trust, tax planning, business tax advisory services, and client relationship management. Todd, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Terry. We're really excited to have this opportunity.
Yeah, we're glad to have you. Todd, can you tell us a little bit about you and why you started your career?
Yes, it's interesting. I had my father had a stroke when I was only 16 years old, and he was left an invalid. And for 6 years, he was a quadriplegic and couldn't talk. So there were all sorts of financial and legal issues. My parents had been divorced. He had been remarried. So there's a stepmother involved and other stepkids involved. So early on, I got involved with various estate planning issues. And then I was always very good in math. So when I was in law school at LSU, I had this amazing professor, Kaleka, and she taught me 7 different tax classes and encouraged me to get my master's degree in tax law and LLM in tax from Emory. And I learned there under Professor Pinnell, who's one of the nation's leading authorities on estate planning. He's written many books on it, and I was blessed to take many classes under him while I was at Emory. And then it just blossomed from there. And I have a mind for detail. So a lot of these intricate tax strategies that we've implemented over the years, we've saved our clients literally billions of dollars in taxes between estate and income taxes. The practice has evolved more and more to a high net worth, high income kind of practice. We're very selective with the clients that we take. We don't charge by the hour. Everything we do is on a fixed value-based basis, whether it's a dollar amount or a percentage of the savings. It just depends on the particular kind of case.
Okay. Could you walk us through a little bit of your journey in becoming board certified in estate planning and administration? That's the first part of the question. The second part is, what motivated you to specialize in this field?
I realized that the business law part of it is pretty easy to learn how to draft good operating agreements, buy-sell agreements, sales and acquisitions of assets and equity. But combining the tax then with the business and the estate planning I think is really makes us have a very unique skill set for high net worth clients, especially business owners. And that's one of the reasons in Louisiana, there's a 5-year period that you have to practice. At least 80% of your practice has to be devoted exclusively to estate planning. And then there's an extensive test, long form test that's graded by other experienced estate planning attorneys before you can become licensed. Then there's ongoing additional requirements for continuing education in estate planning specifically, that we have more hours than the average attorney. So unfortunately, one of the big misconceptions in the public is that, hey, look, my attorney did my will. And people don't realize that if you had a heart attack, you wouldn't go to a podiatrist. Similarly, if you have anything of means, you really want to go to an estate planning attorney, number one. And if you have complex affairs like most wealthy people do, you really want somebody that has both the tax specialty and the board certification in estate planning. And I'll tell you, there's only 120 of us, I think, in the whole state that are board certified in estate planning. And then of those, literally less than a third have a master's degree in tax law. Nationally, there may be 1,000 of us that do the high end family limited partnerships and sales to dynasty trusts and charitable remainder unit trusts and leveraging life insurance and all the high end stuff we do. The high end retirement plans we do, like 412(e)(3), that most people don't even know about, including CPAs. And we're getting our clients deductions of hundreds of thousands of dollars in a qualified plan that we can actually go back to last year and reduce your taxes for last year with these 412(e)(3) plans. So lots of exciting opportunities.
It is. It is. What's been the biggest challenge that you've faced, Todd?
Honestly, historically, it's just been getting the word out. I'm very blessed. About 85, 88% of the people that meet with me and have a need at something we do hire us. We have a high success rate of people engaging with us. I think historically, the biggest issue has been getting the word out to my audience. And now we can really have a national audience with the new technologies that weren't even really widely available or used even 5 years ago. With the combination of YouTube and LinkedIn and video, we can now spread our message to business owners. And if you're a business owner with between 5 and 15 employees, boy, we can save you hundreds of thousands of dollars in income taxes every year, you know.
With your extensive experience, could you highlight some of the most complex estate planning cases that you've handled and the strategies you employed to achieve a successful outcome?
Yeah, and I always tell people, if you want easy, I can give you easy, but it's not going to be nearly as good or as effective. If you can handle a moderate level of complexity, then I can do you a little bit better. And then if you can deal with a much more extensive amount of complexity, then we can really make magic happen. And my true passion has always been beating the government out of estate taxes, frankly. I love helping protect business owners, and I can do it for multiple generations. And it's for my high net worth clients. And nowadays that number keeps changing, but in 2026, we're going to have the new estate tax exemptions. It's going to be about 7 million a person. So
Which is
if you're
about
over
what
5
it is
million,
now, correct?
it'll be cut in half. Exactly. If you're a single person above 5 million or a married couple above 10 million, this new estate tax sunset is going to cost you $6 million plus in additional death taxes. And frankly, it's an optional tax. You have the ability, if you work with the right attorneys, and we have a team that we employ, frankly, we have different asset appraisers, real estate appraisals. We need to coordinate with the CPA and getting all the profit and loss statements and balance sheets and the gift tax returns. So there's a lot of moving parts, but we act as the quarterback for the team and lead the offense. So I would say for our high net worth families, the use of a family limited partnership along with a dynasty trust and a sale of the non-voting units. And the way I try to describe it, and we use a lot of charts and diagrams when we meet with clients. And for any of y'all that want to see some of the stuff, if you go to www.lawealthplan.com, we have an advanced estate planning page. And on that page, we have a download of a kind of a sample report we do for some of our high net worth clients. And basically, we can take any kind of entity, LLC, partnership, corporation, create 1% Class A voting rights and 99% Class B non-voting rights. And we then gift and sell those 99% non-voting rights to a dynasty trust. And we can literally make billions of dollars of assets disappear from estate taxes for multiple generations. It has all the features that most clients want, because it not only gives the husband and wife control for the rest of their lives, but it removes it, but shrinks it and freezes the value at today's values. We get an income stream from the sale to the trust, and the assets are one of the big advantages is asset protection. Going forward, once the assets are transferred into that dynasty trust, none of the client or their children or other descendants, divorcing spouses or personal injury lawsuits, can get to these assets ever again. So it's a very powerful strategy. And then on the income tax side, I think it's complex more than most strategies. I mentioned it earlier. At Emeritus, we call it Prosperity Plus, but basically it's a defined benefit plan that is the best retirement planning strategy I've ever witnessed. And we have some really cool software that can illustrate it, but it's better than a cash balance plan because they're actually safer and less expensive because they're fully insured. And we can get deductions. I'm 57. We ran the numbers. I could get a $570,000 tax deduction for last year and offset last year's taxes with that. It's just an amazing way to save for retirement and asset protected, tax deferred, big tax deduction environment.
I like the use of the family limited partnership and the LLC or
Yeah.
family LLC, because I've talked to a number of people about some estate planning and getting into some of these issues. And one quick thing I always ask them, I said, would you rather own 5 million or control 10 million? And the answer is always control the 10 million. And that's what
Amen.
you do, is not give up control, but give up the asset being included in your estate, but still control it. So I really like that.
Yeah.
What is something now that you wish you knew when you started, Todd?
I guess just to always invest in yourself to learn new techniques. This has been an evolution for me. We started with basic planning, and then it evolved into business planning. And then we started facing tax issues. So we started setting up irrevocable life insurance trusts. Then we started realizing Louisiana's trust law isn't that good. So we started doing dynasty trusts in Nevada, Delaware. And then estate tax continued to rear its head. We got better and we joined Wealth Counsel and got their drafting software, which has been vetted by hundreds of attorneys. I'm very proud to say that in 30 years of practice and transactions, I have never had a single transaction get overturned by the IRS, a business partner, a spouse, or a child. I've never had one of mine overturned. So we take great care in drafting high quality documents so that you're getting exactly what we're telling you to get.
Gotcha. Okay. You mentioned Wealth Counsel. Stan Miller is part of our team.
I know Stan very well, actually. Yeah. I consider Stan a good friend. I'm looking forward to seeing him at the Bellagio at this year's symposium. So,
Good deal.
yeah, him and Lou Pierre are good friends of mine from Wealth Counsel.
What is something you share with each and every client that you have, or at least try to share?
I just try to stress the importance of making decisions based on what we know today and realizing that we can make amendments as we go forward in life. And circumstances change. A lot of the things that you see and think as a 25-year-old is going to drastically change when you're 45. And I think it changes much more when you have grandkids, for example. So the planning is an evolving process based upon the family's changing needs and circumstances, and then the outlying legal challenges and societal challenges that are out there.
Client relationship management is not only sometimes, many times time consuming, but it also crucial in your line of work and mine as well. How do you cultivate trust and maintain strong connections with your clients, ensuring their long-term satisfaction and loyalty?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's really a combination of things, and it starts with our core values. One of our core values is that we seek to develop lifelong clients who will be evangelical in telling their friends and family about the services we provide.
Mhm.
And then literally, I have custom designed each and every step that every time a client from initial outreach going forward is contacted, we have very clear steps that are designed not for us, but for the client. And everything that we do is designed that way. So, as a simple example, in Louisiana, I was one of the first attorneys that used letter size documents for their wills instead of legal size. Most people didn't have legal size filing cabinets, and I realized that. We always got specific pens that were easy to grip and were larger than your average pen, because a lot of our clients are elderly and have arthritic hands. We understand that 70% of people communicate visually, so we invested in Smart Draw and PowerPoint, and to this day we use these tools. Now there's a state view where I can model all these complex charitable remainder unit trusts and sales to defective trusts. We can model all this with both numbers and charts in ways that the client makes it much more digestible. So the tools at our disposal nowadays are just phenomenal.
It's that technology is making our jobs easier. Most of
Yes, it is.
Most
Yes.
sometimes it makes it a little more difficult when it's not working right, but yeah, I get you. If you could, Todd, what's a mistake that many people make, that you see them making, that's hard to undo as it relates to asset planning, wealth management, retirement, et cetera?
I think it's not understanding the importance of this process and the choices you make that are sometimes penny wise, but pound foolish. I mentioned earlier about somebody going to their friend who's an attorney that does a little bit of personal injury and a little bit of domestic and a little bit of wills and a little bit of successions, and they really aren't specialists. And boy, I've just seen awful outcomes with that. I had a guy that had an estate tax problem, went to a non-specialist, and his will was actually worse than if he had not written a will at all. That's how bad it was. To people that have gone to Office Depot and didn't read the fine print on the software that said valid in every state except Louisiana. To people going to LegalZoom and not realizing that some of the inputs that they put could mess up the plan significantly in ways that you don't understand, because you haven't done this as a tax attorney, or you haven't done this for 30 years, and you haven't seen thousands of different families. There's very little that I haven't seen at this point, as you can imagine. Um, that's my thoughts on that.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. That's great stuff. You know as well as I do, or probably better than I do in some cases, that multi-generational wealth transfer planning can be very intricate. How do you approach this process to ensure seamless transitions while minimizing the tax liabilities and preserving the family legacies?
So, in addition to being a tax and estate planning attorney, I'm also a fiduciary investment advisor rep with a Series 7 and 66. So, we do financial wealth management. And then we're also doing proactive income tax strategies, as well as proactive estate planning strategies. So, we have very much of a family office to what we're doing. And we're actually setting up a family office called Fountainhead Global. I'm a big Ayn Rand fan, and as many of you found, that's one of her novels that for me, entrepreneurs are my heroes. You think about all the blood, sweat, and tears they put in, the risks they take, the fact that they create value in this world. I believe that entrepreneurs are the fountainhead of human progress. And it's why I love what I do. And I'll always love doing what I do, because when you work with high net worth families, ideally we're having much of a family office feel where we're not only doing the grandparents' wills, we've done the children's wills, the grandchildren's wills, and estate planning. And then ideally we're having regular, either annual or every 2 year family meetings with set agendas on this is what we're going to talk about. We're going to develop a family mission statement. We're going to have core values, and we're going to talk about what the goals are financially, personally, business, family. What are our goals as a family? And I think those sorts of discussions, every family has problems, some more than others. Wealth tends to create more problems than people that don't have wealth, right? So I always believe in diffusing the bomb. There are some people that say, you know what, I want all my stuff private. I don't want anybody to know. And I just think that it's a ticking time bomb that is going to only blow up at some point. And I'd rather blow it up while the parents can still address the issues than to wait until after somebody dies. And now there's uncertainty or lack of clarity. It makes things a lot more expensive and delayed and can be very problematic.
Todd, how do you define success in your world?
For me, I've got this little plaque that I keep in my kitchen, and it just says peace, love, joy, and happiness. And I try to make sure that every day of my life, I'm seeking those core attributes. I have found peace. I'm actively seeking joy, and joy is a lot more than happiness. So joy is a lot more rare to find. And I think that's why it's such a unique but wonderful attribute. For me, if I can have those things and find happiness in my life and fulfillment, good Lord, what more could I ask for? I've been blessed. I've lived a crazy life. I could write books about how crazy my life has been. People would never believe. It's been a very Forrest Gump kind of life for me. I've enjoyed every minute of it. Had a lot of trials and tribulations for sure, but I've come out stronger better for it.
Good deal. Good deal. Is there anything you like to, or you would wish to share with our audience, Todd, that we haven't discussed?
Just if you own a business, make sure that you're going to an expert. I've sought out the best cardiologists. I've had 2 heart attacks. I go to the human longevity clinic to try to learn about my biomes and DNA and all those sorts of things. Similarly, I think you need a tax attorney in your life if you're making money. And there's so many things we can do. And the ROI is 10 to 1 at a minimum. Sometimes we're getting 100 to 1 ROI for our clients. So every minute you're spending with us is going to be very valuable for you financially. And we have clients throughout the country. So if we can be of help to you, please contact us.
And if I could add something to that, contrary to popular belief, that's not what CPAs do.
Correct. That's one of the big misconceptions, unfortunately, is that people don't realize CPAs have to go through a lot of training, but they're trained in a lot of disciplines. People don't realize there's audit and there's public accounting and then there's private accounting and taxes. It's all different subspecialties. And then of that, there's a bunch of issues. One is that they have a bunch of clients, so they don't have time to be doing a lot of proactive planning. Number two is that there's not a real way for them to be incentivized to do a lot of proactive planning. And number three, frankly, is that there's very few people, professionals in this country, who have hundreds of ultra high net worth clients like I do. Think about it. Your average CPA might have a handful. Your average attorney might just have a handful. And because of that, they're not going to be privy to a lot of these high end strategies that we are familiar with. And sometimes, just as importantly, we're also clear on which strategies that people are promoting out there that are just bad and awful and across the line. And we know which ones are good and which ones are bad out there and who the good players are.
Okay, good. Todd, with all your success, what is you think your biggest challenge is going forward?
I want to help more business owners. I want to have business owners in Montana. It's my favorite state in the country. I want more clients in Florida. We only have a couple right now. You know, I'm a big Miami Dolphins fan, so I want a reason to be able to travel and see my favorite team play. So I enjoy traveling. I go meet with my high net worth clients at their offices and homes. So, you know, if anybody needs to reach me, you can reach me through the website. Again, it's www.lawealthplan.com. And my personal email address is Todd, T-O-D, at lawealthplan.com. And if I can help you in any way, would love to have the opportunity and grateful for this opportunity, Terry.
I'm glad you did that, Todd, because we've got your other contact information here down at the bottom of the screen. But I wanted to make sure that everybody had the best way to reach out to you in either a couple different avenues. So I appreciate that. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate you being on the show today. I hope our audience gets a lot from it. I want to leave my listeners with just two things today. And that is, number one, you will always make more money by saving on taxes than you will ever make by chasing investment returns, number one. And number two, the best way to predict the future is to create it. Thanks. We'll see you next week. This is Terry DuPont, Better Business, Better Life, building on your success. Take care.
Thank you.
All right. Need to stop the recording.
This has been the Better Business, Better Life, Building on Your Success podcast. If you have questions about creating tax-free wealth and income, forward-looking tax mitigation, strategic risk mitigation, wealth preservation and legacy planning, and advanced financial management, go to DuPontAdvisory.com or email Terry at DuPontAdvisory.com.
49 faces looked to him in triumph. Over the last 12 months, they had each taken turns and promoted his business for a week at a time, driving over $987,342 in revenue. What if you had a network of 50 centers of influence who promoted your business every week for a year? Grab your copy of the #1 Amazon best-selling book, The Ultimate Guide to Growing Your Business with a Podcast, at 33% off the Amazon price by going to ultimatepodcastbook.com. Again, that website for 33% off the Amazon price is ultimatepodcastbook.com.